Are you sick of hearing about Skyrim? Well, too bad, because we're going to talk about Skyrim for an entire video. Today, we are ranking the Skyrim releases from my least favourite to my favourite on a tier list setting. Welcome to Scrolls and Souls, I'm your host Questy, and we're going to dive deep into the Skyrim releases. Now, before we get into my juicy tier list right here of every single Skyrim release, you got to do something for me. You got to pop down in the comments below which Skyrim release is the best, which one's the worst, rank them, and do you even like Skyrim? Do you even like Skyrim? Are you more of a Elder Scrolls Legends fan or an Elder Scrolls Very Special Edition fan? Let me know down below, and I guess we should just get stuck in with the first Skyrim. Now there's a lot of Skyrims to get through, and this first Skyrim is going to be the worst of the worst. So we got a tier list set up here. I'm going to be zoomed into the corner. I don't know if I'm in this corner or this corner. Doesn't really matter. So we're going from D to S. S is the best. S is superstar. That's the one we want. D is for dunce. We don't want the dunce hat. So I guess let's get started with the worst edition of Skyrim, in my opinion. Now for me, this probably isn't going to be the same as a lot of people's picks, because my least favourite, the D, the game, the edition with the dunce hat, is going to be Skyrim Vr. Yep, Skyrim Vr. Now, don't get me wrong, love the technological advances. Love that you can play Skyrim in virtual reality. But I've got it, and I played it in VR, and I threw up everywhere. I vommed all over my trousers and the carpet, and it wasn't a pretty sight. It wasn't a pretty sight. I can pinpoint the exact moment I threw up. We're in Helgen. The dragon attacks, blows the wall down when you're running up with Hadvar, when you're running up that little tower thing, and then you're looking over to the burning building, and you got to jump to the burning building, and whoop, gone, done. That motion, nope. I did kind of recover myself, started playing again, and then the motions of swinging, and you have to, your head's moving as you're swinging, it's just very nauseating, and I get kind of motion sickness. So for me, VR Skyrim is the worst edition of Skyrim, and I am never going to play it. Never going to play it. Also, I'm so glad I didn't play it, because those giant spiders, oh god, frostbite spiders in VR? Nah. I'll stick to the non-VR versions, thank you very much. So on C tier, we have the very special edition of Skyrim, which, technically everyone would have this in the dunce tier, but I think there's a bit of a charm to it, just sitting around talking to Alexa, going through the motions of a Skyrim game, telling it to use magic, or shouts, or swords, and you level your character up, and it remembers what your level is and everything. It's very basic, very bare bones, and it always repeats itself. There's always the same enemies, Daedra and the skeletons, and it's just gets very boring, very old fast, but it's fun when you first start it. So it's fun when you first start it, but gets old super fast. So a very special edition of Skyrim. It's cool. It's a cool idea. It's neat. It's pretty neat, as Marge would say, but it's going in C tier, because, yeah, it's not as good as the real Skyrim. Come on. So joining it in the C tier is the Nintendo Switch version of Skyrim, which is very cool. It is cool. The reason it's going alongside the Alexa version is because, although it's nice to have it in handheld and nice to take it wherever you want, the graphics take a big swing. The graphics take a big hit, and it does feel a bit strange playing it on a Nintendo console, and it just doesn't feel right. It just doesn't feel right. And it's like the inferior version of the 360, PS3, PS4 versions and the PC. It feels like an inferior version of all of them. So the lower parts of my tier list are all gimmicky ones. You can do Skyrim handheld. You can talk to your Skyrim. You can play Skyrim. You can be in Skyrim. They're all the gimmick ones and the ones which I'm never going to play. So they're all going C tier and below. But now we're going to get to the juicy stuff. Now we're going to get to B tier. Xbox 360 and PS3. Xbox 360, a little bit higher than the PS3 version. The PS3 version had a lot of bugs, a lot of errors when it first came out. It did. It really did. But, they're both, graphically, it is pretty similar. And it's the it's the way I first played it. The way I first played Skyrim was on Xbox 360. And I adored it, and I played the ever-loving shit out of it. But it wasn't my favourite game when it came out, actually. My favourite game was Dark Souls, because they both came out the same year. What is going on? Dark Souls and Elder Scrolls Skyrim came out the same year? Marvellous. Then I got back into Skyrim, and I was like, this is actually fantastic. So, yeah, nostalgia's sake, I adore it, but is it as good as the PS4 and Xbox One's version? Of course it isn't. Of course it isn't. Graphically, come on, it's got to be C tier. Although, it's where I first played Skyrim, it's where I first jumped in to Skyrim. It's got to come middle of the pack because the other games are better. They just are. So in A tier, we got Skyrim on the PS4 and the Xbox One. Of course it is. The best console experiences for Skyrim. It's got to be here. It's got to be. You got all the modding support as well, which is pretty cool. Didn't think it'd be like that. I thought only PCs would be like that. Obviously, it's not as good. And they had that old debacle where you have to pay for the mods. Like, what was that about? What are you doing, Bethesda? But it all worked out in the end. PS4 version, really fun. Xbox One version, really fun. Got to be A tier. Some of the best. If you only have consoles, you don't play on PC, this is the way to play. You want to play it on the PS4, you want to play it on the Xbox One. But there is only one master. There's only one master. And you know what that is? S tier is the PC version of Skyrim and the Skyrim Special Edition. They're both S tier. You know why they're both S tier? Because the amount of mods you can have. You got stuff like Moonpath to Elsewhere, you got like Skyblivion, all the overhauls that make Skyrim look like a different game. Like you're playing real life. Like all the different mods is crazy. The console commands as well. Do not forget about the console commands. Setting the scale of something to giant, and just watching it smash for everything. It's too fun. Too fun. Just killing anyone you want by just typing kill. It's a fun way to mess around. It's the definitive way to play Skyrim. PC is the S tier, and it's always gonna be. So, let's recap what's in every tier. In S tier is Skyrim and Skyrim. In A tier, Skyrim and Skyrim. In B tier, Skyrim and Skyrim. C tier, Skyrim and Skyrim. And D tier, Skyrim. So that was my Skyrim tier list. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Again, let me know what's your favourite Skyrim down below. Let me know if you're sick of Skyrim already. How many times have I said Skyrim in this video? Take a shot every time I've said Skyrim. Let me know, and we'll see you again on another Scrolls and Souls.